Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Graphene Manufacturing Group, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol GMG. I am chatting again with the founder and CEO, Craig Nicol. Now, Craig, again, I've received a lot of questions on a few of the company's divisions, including the Thermal XR division and the battery division, as well as a couple general questions that we will cover as many of these as we can, and I do appreciate everybody sending me in these questions. But look, this interview was a little bit delayed from earlier this month because of news that broke out of the company May 17th. Now, this news announces a battery joint development agreement with Rio Tinto, all focused on advancing the development and application of the company's graphene aluminum batteries. This joint development agreement has Rio Tinto contributing $6 million Australian in exchange for preferential access rights. Craig, let's start out just at the beginning here. What is this agreement? What are these preferential access rights that Rio Tinto is getting over the company's batteries?
Yeah, thanks, Corey. And I have to say, it's always a pleasure to be back on the call with you. Yeah, we're very, very excited about this announcement. We obviously put a lot of effort and work with Rio Tinto to get here, and I think it's a great milestone. Of course, a lot of the hard work now has to really begin on putting together, a battery that can work in their heavy mobile equipment fleet, and also many other applications if Rio desires. So first of all, it's a fantastic opportunity with one of the largest companies in the world, obviously the largest aluminium producer in the world, to make a graphene aluminium ion battery with them is, I think, almost a dream outcome for a new aluminium ion technology. So to be in with the largest aluminium producer, who's got clear goals to transition to a decarbonised future and set and in stone and with respect to their shareholders, and to help them on that journey with this technology. There's a lot of synergies that comes from this, and hence I guess that's why it came about. The work specifically is around developing a battery that will hopefully be able to suit their requirements in their mobile fleet. So these are the really large trucks that you see, 250-ton dump trucks, so to speak, that they need to transition away from diesel fuel into the battery or the low or decarbonised future that I guess they're wanting right across their whole industry, in terms of all their plant and also all their mobile equipment. So that's the main effort that we're focused on here, and the access rights that they have with this enable them to get some clarity that as it gets developed, that they can actually go and also buy and use it for the minerals and mining sector, which is a very important part of it. They want to see this new technology come to fruition and to commercialize, being an aluminium company, but also they want to be able to have access in and use it for their equipment if it all comes to where they want it to, which is obviously what we all want it to as well. So three really core areas, and all very important for GMG, and obviously hopefully aligning with what Rio wants to do as well, which is great.
So this is all about these pouch pack batteries. So the company is really starting to develop and test out. What comes first in this agreement? Is it simply developing those batteries that fit into Rio's existing machines or new machines that they're building? Or is it that focus on batteries that they could sell to other consumers in the resource and mining sector?
Yeah, it's really about their own use. They've got a very large amount of energy storage and battery requirements that they need to move through, and they're very well advanced in that. I think they're one of the most advanced companies in this space in terms of understanding their emissions and how to decarbonise, and then what's it going to take to get there. And it's really great working with them because they have got a very clear plan on the fact that that's what they need to do, and recently administered the restructure around that, around the carbon production emissions, and how to activate projects to deliver that. So something to be really proud of. We work with such a forthright, focused, and environmentally focused company. So that's what it's there for. These batteries are our first write-up requirement is to develop some pouch cells that they could use in their own operations, and they've got enough, fair to say, in their global fleet and potential grid, and then there's even potential for this to go into other areas if it works. Then that demand is substantial enough for them to actually think to how to work with us, and how to work with a battery developer like us. So I guess that shows you their commitment, which is fantastic. And really now what we've got to do is develop this battery for them, this battery cell, and then what we aim to do then, within the 2 years, is try to put that into a battery pack, a very small battery module pack, which enables them to see a proof of concept that when we can go and scale.
So, are you going to be able to release news as this development agreement kind of develops over this 2 years and as these batteries are developed for Rio Tinto?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, and that's they're going to be wanting to see the outcome of it, and then obviously our shareholders will. And so we'll be able to, as we progress through, and if we get to clear significant points of the program, we'll be able to announce, where we're at and what we've been able to achieve, which is going to be very exciting, I think. With heavy mobile equipment, battery applications are certainly probably one of the toughest applications you could possibly get. We believe that our battery is suited towards that because of its really high power density, and it's able to be charged and discharged really fast, and it should be quite a tough battery with respect to heating and probably no cooling required. And there's a lot of other things that go around that make this thing probably the right type of battery to work in the space. And of course, we've got to go prove that. And that's what we attempt to do over the next 2 years, and get us into a space which shows that we can, then scale it after that, which would then be hopefully pushing into a number of different vehicles, a number of different assets, and potentially any energy storage for Rio, because their own requirements for energy storage for their power utilization is also quite a large amount of power, energy storage for that as well.
So this $6 million, is it going to need to be allocated towards expanding your infrastructure around development of some of these prototypes, some of these early on pouch cells?
Up front, it's really focused on our operating costs to be able to create and focus on this more, and basically try to accelerate this. That's obviously the key focus, with this extra money coming in, and that we see as with the existing infrastructure that we have, with pretty much the same people, with maybe a few more people coming in over the next 2 years, and working with partners. That's always going to be key. Collaborating with partners. We are keen to work with the OEMs in this space, as is Rio. So that will be part of it, is to work out which OEMs will want to work with us in this, because they're all doing their own things and their own decarbonisation efforts, and so we've got to look to put effort into getting that as work across as well. And then when you're finally there with a modular battery pack, to be able to then say that it will survive in suitable applications for mining, in various different parts of the world, cold and hot. That'll obviously be a pretty big achievement, because it's believed that once we could do that, there pretty much any application could probably be spun out of that, because we would have had a technology that has been proven probably one of the toughest applications you can get on this earth.
So at the tail end of this news release, we also have a comment from the chairman of GMG that reiterates the fact, and something that you've said before on the show, is that, look, a lot of the interest that you have had in the battery technology is for these pouch cell batteries. And it says that the company is now reprioritizing your energies towards the development of this form of battery. It ties in with this Rio Tinto news. How does Rio Tinto and the development of batteries for them, how is that going to fit into the continued focus on pouch cells, but developments for even other companies or a wider market?
Yeah, and so we've said for some time we've been focused on getting a global development partner who wants to be public with us, and Rio Tinto is a perfect example of what we'd want to work with in terms of being able to even get the aluminium into the battery and then launch a new battery into an application which is very challenging for other technologies, and that they want to be public with us. So many things that align with what we're seeking for in a global partner, and we're very excited and I guess proud to be working with Rio. But what it does mean is that the work on the coin cells is now going to be I think it's clear, and we'll be updating the market on that pretty shortly. But it's obviously not going to have the same kind of priority as the work on this battery for Rio. And then there are other companies who are on the NDA, and we will be working with them as well. But clearly, the prime partner of ours is public and working with us in this way is going to get our lion's share of our work, and that's the way we've always been quite clear. Of course, we'll continue to work with the other companies, and there's going to be, as we grow, no doubt more and more other companies underneath, the other kind of battery, more confidential outcomes. But this is clearly this joint development agreement with Rio is great, isn't a great achievement, and we want to make sure we deliver on it, and that's what we're going to do.
So a couple other questions that I've had, and we'll get into a couple of these questions that were sent in to me after our last interview, kind of ties in, I guess, with this Rio Tinto news, because Rio Tinto is a leading global mining company. I had a lot of questions asking about GMG's focus with these batteries on the consumer electric vehicle side of things. So there is a relationship here, but again, this is a slightly different market. How does the potential of consumer electric vehicles tie into this?
Yeah, I think that's always going to be a possibility once you've done this. But we really want to work with companies and outcomes and applications that really see the benefit of our really fast charging. And EVs, a lot of EVs really want a cheap and already matured technology, rather than trying to necessarily advance every piece of the battery tech. There are some EV manufacturers out there who are keen to put the latest tech into some new prototypes, but most of them really are trying to scale to kind of get to their own targets. So hence, it's really good to be able to work with a company that's looking to say, how can I design almost an ecosystem that can use all of the benefits of a graphene aluminium ion battery? And so that's the benefit that we have with working with Rio, is that we're really trying to see how can we get to what will have to be an ecosystem that will be able to get all the benefits and all the advantages, rather than necessarily just swapping out the lithium-ion battery with an aluminium battery in the existing type of application, where you just you just won't get the benefits as much. You can certainly do it, but you just won't get the benefits, and so that's why we're really keen for this, because it'll really showcase the battery, and it's a really rugged application.
So now that you have this agreement with Rio Tinto and this renewed focus on the pouch cells, are we going to see much more news about certain battery data or any aspects around battery development outside of maybe more agreements or bigger picture strategies for these batteries because of this move? Again, more with Rio Tinto and into the pouch cells?
Yeah, so I think we'll see as we become very clear on our data. We'll definitely be publishing that as it gets to a point which is verified and something that is very clearly a discerning point of outcome. And so we obviously still have our disclosure responsibilities for the company, and that's what we'll continue to do. The opportunity to work with our battery in so many different applications is kind of coming together now, where we're seeing how really large power draining applications, normally powered by engines, are really, I think, suited to our battery. So there could be other applications that we might come out with other global partners, but if we, that would be interesting. But we've already got, our main focus, which is to basically produce such an amazing battery that we can replace a massive, one of the biggest diesel engines on the planet. So we've already got our work cut out for us, and I think that's really going to take the effort that it deserves to make it happen. So as we do that, I think, if we do work with others, there might be in similar other kind of similar applications where it just needs this very similar high power density. And there's just so many of those, Corey. The world is thinking that the batteries are going to get taken up by the EVs, but when you look at all of the really high diesel engine applications around the world, and it's really tough to work with existing battery tech, and our battery seems to be something that'll fit there nicely. Yeah, so we are getting a lot of conversations with different manufacturers in the world in that space, and it just seems to work quite well. So I think in the end, that probably will be where we'll start to hone in on over the next couple of years. It'll start to become quite clear. Right now, we've got one global partner who's come public. We have others on an NDA, and I think as we progress, we'll continue to update the market if that changes. But that's certainly where I think this is going.
Okay, this ties into a couple other questions that I received, more or less asking if the company would partner with other companies that are also developing certain materials, certain aspects of batteries, aluminum ion, graphene, aluminum batteries, other companies that are developing these batteries in other countries so that the company could kind of combine technology or utilize these companies to enter some other countries. Is this a potential, or is it really just staying in-house and you're bringing in outside, I guess, supporters to help focus your battery development?
Yeah, look, there's collaboration is going to be key, and we need existing large companies to make that happen. So work with Bosch on the manufacturing plant side is ongoing, and I think that will continue to add material suppliers as we grow, and we're always looking for those opportunities, and we do get a lot of requests to reach out to see how we can work. Our battery is very simple though, so it becomes a very simple conversation. Do you either have this material or not? Okay, you don't. Great, let's move on. If you do, great, let's keep talking. And then it's then how do we develop those large scale partners so when we're ready to scale, they're there for us, and that's the next stage of GMG. We need to be very focused on that, and that's something that we're going to start to really drive up. And we certainly have people who are interested, but we need to bring it all together on the basis of very sound battery technology as well, and that's the key, and that's what some of what we're doing over the next couple of years. Mostly, we'll be really working out the optimal cell technology and how that will work in a hopefully in a Rio Tinto kind of large heavy vehicle. But also, as we get that locked in, making sure the suppliers are there as well, because that's crucial. We have to have global suppliers that can be supplying at scale. Yeah, because clearly we don't have to just produce one of these. Once we get to a point where Rio Tinto wants them, we need to produce many, and that means global partners to do that.
Well, and I think that's what has people excited is the potential of just how big this sector, this whole battery development can be. I just want to ask one more question here, more general in purpose. It's going to combine a lot of questions that have come in, more on the funding side of things. People have mentioned Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan, as well as the Australian government's natural battery strategy, as well as the US and the Inflation Reduction Act. All of these can tie into kind of this critical minerals aspect, and a lot of people are wondering what's the potential of GMG, the company, bringing in some of this outside funding from governments, almost a form of free or cheaper money to continue to develop these batteries.
Yeah, and I think at the right stage that will be welcomed. We're constantly talking to different parts of the governments of different countries and states. So, and that won't stop. We're kind of like a panacea for a lot of supply chain issues for other technologies, but we need to get to a scale that is clearly able to show that we can put a plant anywhere and take natural gas and aluminium and make a great battery. So we're predominantly focused on doing that in Australia right now. Obviously, the IRA is a great step for um, basically bringing battery manufacturing over to America and critical mineral manufacturing over to America. And whilst I haven't got it all in down in ironclad, I'm pretty sure if we put a plant there that we could take avail of that, which would be something that'd be worthy of that. So there's a number of steps you can see for this company that as we progress through the scaling and then getting global partners and then getting the locations right, that North America starts to ring pretty soundly for us. So I think that's part of that's another really exciting part of the company is that our growth could well be back into a very highly well received kind of environment of community where people really want to have batteries made and all from existing critical minerals that can be made there as well, which we can do. So it's a really good I guess circumstance to be in. And it's going to help us also envision the future. And right now, we've got to focus through on getting the tech done to get the cells working and the battery modules working, and then go to the project partners and also then start looking at where we're going to put our large sites. And that's a really exciting stage of the company, and that's not far away, which is awesome.
Okay, Greg, thank you again for addressing these questions, and thank you for recapping that news. I'll bring you back on the show as more news comes out. And also, everyone, please keep sending me your questions. We didn't get to all of them on this interview, but we also had that news to recap. As I continue to chat with Craig, well, I'll keep getting those questions addressed. So again, you all can email me at fleck@kereport.com, and I'll keep getting your questions answered. In full disclosure, I am a shareholder of GMG. Craig, thank you again for your time. I do appreciate this update.
Thanks, Corey, and talk soon.